And welcome to UofL Today with Mark Hebert on 790 WKRD. It is Cards Radio 790 WKRD. And this is the show that's about all the stuff going on at the University of Louisville, all the good things going on at the University of Louisville. So on the show today, she's an activist for women's and LGBTQ rights. There are a lot of those in America, but Li Maizi is from China. She's an activist who's been detained by police for demonstrating, and she's in Louisville to talk about the rise of feminism in China, and she's stopping by to talk to me and some students at the University of Louisville. But first, UofL's health operation is going through some wholesale changes. The proposed purchase of KentuckyOne's assets, including Jewish Hospital, a complete reversal of UofL's financial situation for the better, and the formation of an umbrella organization called UofL Health. And Tom Miller's the guy hired to lead UofL's charge on all those things. He's the CEO of UofL Health, and he's here to talk about the breadth of stuff going on in the health sciences campus. Tom, good to see you.
Good to see you. Glad to be here.
Glad you're here. When did you come to UofL? When were you hired?
I was right after the first of the year, so January 9th.
All right, so you've been here about nine months, almost 10 months. Okay, and you've had a lot to do down there in the health sciences campus. You've been a busy guy, haven't you?
It has not stopped yet, but it's all been good stuff, so that's great for us.
Okay. All right. What is UofL Health? That's this is the thing we're getting ready to roll out, but what is it? An umbrella organization, or what is it?
UofL Health is the umbrella organization. It'll be the governance structure associated with all of the assets on the healthcare science area. That would be University Medical Center, University of Louisville Physicians, and all of the assets that we're acquiring from KentuckyOne Health. This will be the governing structure associated with that.
All right. And so it doesn't include the clinical side. Well, it does include the clinical side, does not include the research side of the University of Louisville and the doctors and stuff that are doing research, right?
Right. It doesn't include the research side or the School of Medicine, although we work in partnership with both.
Okay. So you just mentioned some of the properties, but we're getting ready to acquire KentuckyOne's assets. What are those assets?
It's a long list, so I'll just go through
It is a laundry list.
Jewish Hospital, obviously, is the largest asset, and that's made up of Jewish Hospital and the Rudd Heart and Lung Center, as well as the Jewish Hospital Outpatient Center, Fraser Rehab and the Neuroscience Center. Also includes St. Mary's and St. Elizabeth Hospital. It includes
South Louisville.
And then in Shelbyville, so in the rural area, Jewish Hospital Shelbyville also includes Our Lady of Peace, and there the Physician One KentuckyOne Medical Group, which is about 280 providers associated with that. The parking lots all associated with the Jewish Hospital, and then 4 of the outpatient centers, which are significant valuable assets because they're in the more community of Louisville. We're a downtown facility, and this gives us some access into the rural, the suburban areas. So that would be Medical
There's 4
Center.
of them?
Yes, Medical Center East, South, Southwest, and Northeast.
Okay, so they're spread all over the county.
All over
Jefferson
the county.
How about the hospital in Bullitt County? Isn't that a
There isn't a
facility?
No, there isn't a hospital in Bullitt County.
Is that an outpatient?
It's the outpatient center that we have there.
Gotcha. Okay, so UofL will be acquiring all those from KentuckyOne. So what is the timetable for all that happening?
It's all going to happen on November 1st. So short period of about 35 days and counting.
Okay, so we hope it's all going to happen on November 1st. There's no hitches, nothing going on that we need to worry about.
We're all cooperating well together, and I think it will happen on that date. I'm fully expected to.
All right. So what's the big deal about UofL getting all these properties? Why is it such a benefit, not just to UofL, but to the not just the university, but the community as a whole?
Well, as a community as a whole, there was a chance that Jewish Hospital might have closed down. And Jewish Hospital was taking care of 35,000 emergency room patients a year. They were having about an average census in their hospital about 200 patients. There was no place for those patients to go. University Medical Center has been full, and so there was the potential of a crisis in regard to the care of patients in this community because the hospitals are generally full throughout the area. And so the university board made a decision to step up and try to, on behalf of the community, try to make sure that we can enhance the care for University Medical Center and for the whole community. And so it was a great opportunity for us to make a difference in this community. And University Medical Center has been more of a downtown facility. Mm-hmm. We do tremendous trauma care. We have a James Brown Cancer Center that does terrific work, but we were not in the suburbs in the communities. And there were people who chose not to come downtown for care. And it gives us the opportunity to reach out in the south side, southwest side of town with St. Mary's and St. Elizabeth, into the rural areas with Shelbyville and the 4 outpatient centers, and to get in a service line with psychiatric care that OLP has been doing a terrific job for a long period of time. And from a university standpoint, the ability to have Jewish hospital and university working as one partner, one team together. If you can imagine, we have about 320 patients on an inpatient on a daily basis, and they have about 220. You're talking about a large number of patients that we'll take care of in this community, and we can do it in one medical center versus two organizations who somewhat were competing against each other. But of the patients that were being taken care of at Jewish Hospital, the faculty, the University of Louisville physician faculty, was providing about 40% of that care already. And we had key things that were important to us. Saving the transplant program, making sure that that did not close down. And I'm glad to say that the heart transplant program, which was suspended a few months ago, has been reopened back up for the community. And so the ability for us to work together and meeting the high-end needs of the community is something we had in mind.
We're talking with Tom Miller. He's the CEO of UofL Health, and which has been undergoing a lot of changes here in the last few months and about to undergo a few more. You mentioned the faculty from the University of Louisville, the doctors and others, the interns, others that are working at Jewish Hospital. How important was that there still be a place for UofL to train the doctors of the future on, in which they are doing it right now at Jewish Hospital, as well as, of course, University Hospital?
We have over 600 students in the medical school associated with it, and we have about 330 patients at University Medical Center. It was important that we allow these students to have access to patients at other hospitals. 68 of those residents were at Jewish Hospital, and the ability to have those patients and share in the educational opportunity was important. Norton's a partner with us also, and so it's important that we have that relationship with all of the hospitals that are out there. We could not have taught these students if we didn't have Jewish Hospital open.
Kentucky Economic Development Finance Authority, the state government, is giving a $50 million loan to UofL to make this whole deal happen. Why did UofL need the money? Why'd you need the $50 million?
It's interesting in healthcare when you change ownership. You have to start re-credentialing your hospitals and your providers with the insurance companies that are out there, with the state for a Medicaid standpoint. And so there tends to be between 120-day and 180-day lag period to get those credentials done. During that, we can't really bill for services, nor can we collect for those services until we get credentialed with those new insurers. And so if you can imagine a $600 million company that all of a sudden has to go half a year without any collections, we will have our expenses because we'll still be paying staff, our doctors, associated with care and supplies, but we wouldn't have had the collections to actually pay for those items. And so we knew that we would have about a $100 million lag period in the initial 6 months that we would need help associated with that. We'd look for a partner during the first 6 months of this process, didn't really find anything that really met our needs, and we asked for the state to see if they could help us. And the state agreed to and it still has to be voted on in January, a $50 million loan program associated with that. And I would have to say the foundations of this community, the Jewish and St. Mary's Foundation agreed to $10 million over 4 years, and the Jewish Heritage Foundation agreed to $10 million associated with that in kind of a matching program with the state. And we need that and be able to pay bills during this time frame.
It's kind of like a bridge loan. Basically, isn't it? And that's sort of what you're talking about here?
Exactly what it is. It's allowing us to continue to run these hospitals and pay bills while we know we won't have collections until we have a chance to turn these hospitals around.
We're talking with Tom Miller, who's the CEO of UofL Health. All right, you mentioned the $50 million that the university is getting, kind of a bridge loan to help out. Aren't there also some repairs, upgrades, those kinds of things that are going to have to be done at the KentuckyOne facility, specifically Jewish Hospital, to get them up to par, and so you can do surgery, keep doing surgeries and transplants and those kinds of things?
Well, the Jewish Hospital has a tradition in this community of being one of the leaders in healthcare, going back many decades associated with that. Under the leadership of CHI made a decision 2 years ago to sell these assets, and they haven't put a lot of resources in those. And so, yes, we are going to have to invest in these hospitals, and we're glad to do that. We're planning between $20 and $30 million a year to invest in these facilities, and that's part of where the bridge loans and the foundation money helps to support our ability to invest in those facilities. And so we know we're going to have to do that. We think that we can do that in a sensible way associated with it to really make a difference in these hospitals.
There's been a lot of talk in the media about Jewish Hospital being a financial loser. So what makes Tom Miller think he can turn that around?
Well, first of all, I've been in this field for a lot of years, and I've worked at some really great hospitals and companies. And so I have a background that I've done just this exact thing in Fort Wayne, Indiana, in Nashville with Community Health System and with Quorum Health. So this is what I have done. And from the university standpoint, we were able to demonstrate the University Medical Center last year lost about $40 million associated with it by doing some of the right things within the organization, better collections, making sure our bills get out, making sure that we maintain our cost structures and we grow our volume. We've had about a $90 million turnaround, and so we're profitable where we can reinvest in our hospital at University Medical Center. Doing some of the same things help with that. One of the things that's really a benefit is that the university, because it's a teaching program, a teaching hospital, gets additional reimbursement through the state, through the federal government that will help us. And that'll be about $30 million additional reimbursement that all of a sudden takes almost the losses that KentuckyOne had and breaks it even. In addition, there was a significant amount of corporate overhead that was being charged to these hospitals based on people that were in Denver. We think we can save about $15 million of that overhead. So all of a sudden, I'm at a point where I can reinvest some of that money back in the hospital. And so just doing the right things by maintaining our cost structure. We're not talking about reducing any staff. Mm-hmm. We actually think we'll have to add some staff to improve the care to some of the patients. But we think that there's some things that we can do that are fairly easy that will make a financial turnaround in this organization.
And I want to talk a little bit more about financial turnaround as a whole at UofL Health here in a second. But you mentioned also some of the changes that might be happening, and you might be hiring some more folks, not cutting staff. What will the changes mean for the average patient? What will it mean for patient care and for health in the city of Louisville and the folks who come to either University Hospital or Jewish Hospital or one of the outpatient places? What's it going to mean, big picture?
Yeah, I think on a big picture standpoint, when you look at the physicians in this community, I would tell you that about half of them, if not more, were trained by the School of Medicine here in University. And so the ability to have those educators and the research that they do to be applied across this community versus just in the downtown facility, I think offers a great service to everyone. And we do believe we take the resources together of the Jewish and KentuckyOne Health and the university that we can do some things we haven't been able to do to really make a difference in some of the centers of excellence associated with that. We think we can make a difference in cardiac care. We think we can make a difference in cancer care that we're doing now, but expand that. And also in the neuroscience and orthopedic areas. Those are not areas that we've been known for, but with the resources together, we'll have almost 1,000 providers. So about 750 physicians and about another 250 nurse practitioners and allied health professionals. We'll have 1,000 providers in this community. We can make a tremendous difference in the care. Access is really important to every patient that we have. So number one complaint is they can't get access to care. We hope to open that up.
Back on the finances of the University of Louisville Hospital and what's going on downtown, you mentioned earlier that the hospital was in a big hole. Financial hole. Where is that now, and how did all of a sudden it's in the black?
Well, it's not magic, and we don't use fairy dust too often, but we try to. No, I think a couple things. One is we were able to grow. We've had more patients choose to come to our hospitals. So last year we grew our revenues by $100 million. And that's new patients coming in, more surgery that we were doing, and the community was trusting the care that they were giving. And when we did that, we also tried to hold our expenses. So we held our expenses to about $25 million of that new $100 million. We also, when we broke away from KentuckyOne 2 years ago, we felt like we could do a better job in collecting by having it done locally versus being done by an outside group in Texas. That helped us collect on some of our accounts receivable associated with it. And so good cost control, growth in revenues. And I will tell you that we're proud of something. We haven't increased our charges in 3 years. And so we didn't do it by charging patients more. We did it by just better management, better collection processes, and controlling our expenses. Healthcare is very expensive today, and so we just have to do that.
All right. So, what do the next 2-3 months look like for you? What are the priorities here? Obviously, the sale of all the KentuckyOne assets to the University of Louisville. But I assume, is that all you're working on in the next 3 months?
Number one thing is let's make sure we can make payroll for all of those new people coming in. Let's make sure they get a check. But first of all, we want to welcome them into our organization. this is a different change for them, and we've got to welcome them. There are tremendously committed people that have been part of the organization, KentuckyOne Health, over the last 2 years since they've been for sale. For those individuals to still be here after 2 years of a hospital being for sale, they're committed, and we want to use those efforts in order to make sure that we provide good care. When we broke away from KentuckyOne 2 years ago, we were able to add 500 new nurses into our organization. We need to do that again within KentuckyOne to make sure that we have a team of people that can take care of the patients that are there. But I think first is making sure we're providing great hope for the future, securing all the jobs that are there, starting to reinvest back in the facility associated with it, and put together a vision in regard to what we can be together. That's what we're really focusing on.
Okay, Tom Miller, appreciate you being on the show. You've probably heard that anything resembling a protest in China is quickly shut down by the communist government. Well, Li Maizi knows a little bit about that. She's an activist for women's and LGBTQ rights in China, and she's here in Louisville as a guest of the UofL Center for Asian Democracy and the World Affairs Council to talk about feminism in China. Li, good to see you.
Hello.
Welcome to Louisville.
Thank you.
Are you enjoying it so far?
Yeah, it's a very nice city.
So you've been here a couple days, right?
Yeah, this is my first day here.
First full day here, kind of hanging around. All right, so you're from China.
Yeah, I was born in the mountainous area in Beijing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and did you go to school in China and grew up, spent your entire formative years in China?
Before high school, I was in Beijing, and I get my bachelor degree in Xi'an, in Shanxi province. So
Okay.
people know it because they have terracotta warriors.
The Warriors?
Yes. And afterwards, I worked for 5 years, and then I studied in University of Essex in the UK.
Okay, so you were in Britain for a while. Great Britain for a while.
Yeah.
Doing some college, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you call yourself, I guess, do you call yourself an activist? Is that the term you use for yourself?
Yeah.
You use an activist for yourself? Okay.
We not normally use it in China because we speak in Chinese there. So it's like,
is there a word for activist in Chinese?
nope.
Nothing close?
It's a weird translation, actually.
So what do they call you in China? What would be the translation of a word that they would call you in Chinese?
女权主义者. Yeah.
And that
it's
means
like
what?
feminist. Yeah.
Feminist?
We don't
Okay.
use the activist very common in our context.
Okay. So in China, we always hear in the United States about what a closed society it is, that the government controls everything. But you are an activist, my word, you're a feminist activist for feminist causes. How did that come to be? And number two, once you started doing that, weren't you a little fearful of what might happen to you?
It depends, I used to be detained, right? So during that period, I'm a little bit fearful about the situation and worried about.
How many times were you detained?
Once.
Just once. Okay. And that was what, 4 years
It's
ago?
like an official one,
Okay.
not including those like the police asked me to go to the police station. Might be 3 times.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
But you've never been arrested?
Before
did-
that, no.
Okay. But again, how'd you get started? How did you start to get vocal about feminist causes in China?
Well, I think there's a strong connection with my childhood. So things, I was born in a countryside area in Beijing. So people thought it's a big city, right, with a lot of buildings. But actually, I migrated with my family in like 1990s, moved to the suburban area of Beijing. So I was bullied, and I witnessed the domestic violence in our rural area, and also I met the bullies during my childhood. So
When you say bullies, the men that would bully women, or just
no, it's
bullies in
like I was
general?
bullied.
You were bullied, okay,
in
gotcha.
the school, and also and I don't know why, maybe domestic violence also happened in my own family.
Okay.
So I thought I must do something, and it's always like that. If something happened, my attitude will be resistance. So resistance is like, until now, even though I in the workplace talk with some people who are very chauvinist, I will be very radical and trying to fight against those stereotypes.
Right. We're talking with Li Maizi, who is an activist from China, and she's on the University of Louisville campus as a guest of the UofL Center for Asian Democracy and the World Affairs Council. And she's talking about feminism, the rise of feminism in China. Is there a vast difference between the way women are treated in China and the way they're treated in the United States?
I have to say no.
Really?
Yes.
See, that surprises me.
Yeah.
Don't you think it surprises most Americans when you say that?
For example, like the women's room is always not enough, no matter in the U.S. or in China, right?
Okay.
And also domestic violence is everywhere. It's a worldwide issue. So even though the U.S. have more like legal establishments, in China we rarely have the gender equality educational law or the anti-sexual harassment law. But things happened because gender, it's a common issue. It's unavoidable in any country.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if they're treated the same in China as they are in the United States, what were you protesting? When you go out and demonstrate in the streets and you get detained by police, what were you demonstrating?
Oh yeah, that might be the different regime. We have different regimes in China. It's also authoritarian regime, so they have very concentrated power. So which means they need to sustain the stability to sustain the concentrated power. But it's very hard. It's not sensible, right? Mm-hmm. If you want to control people, which is very difficult, right? If I want to manipulate you, it's going to be super difficult. So that is a hard part in China because the machine running in the wrong way. So
the political machine.
Yes, and also the police. They are the tools to governance. Mm-hmm. So it might be very difficult to negotiate with a big brother.
So tell me about the demonstration that happened, and what were you demonstrating against that got you detained by the police for, 30-something days? Wasn't it over a month?
Yeah, 37
tell me about
days. 37 days is the maximum of the duration of a criminal detention before you might got arrested. Yeah, arrested means you might be sentenced.
Right.
But if you got released before that, which means you are not guilty.
So, but what were you doing? What were you doing that got you detained?
I tried to, I printed some stickers from a print store, and I'm going to hold it and take photo with others while holding that sticker.
And what did the sticker say?
Yeah, like anti-sexual harassment slogans.
Okay.
Yeah. For example, some like, love is never an excuse of violence, or stop the sexual harassment in the public transports.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was wrong with that?
Maybe it happened in a bad timing. It's a very political sensitive period because we have the two congresses. So two congresses is mainly like the election, or they need to pass some laws during that period.
So it was during an election time. Everybody's really sensitive, those kinds of things, and you're out there making these things that are ticking off the police. That pretty much sum it up?
Yeah.
Okay, so you get detained for 37 days. Did they treat you okay? I mean, were you...
No physical abuse or physical torture, no. But a lot of verbal abuse, like humiliation about my sexual orientation, my gender identity. And I told them what is LGBT. It took them a lot of time to remember, what is LGBT. And they
didn't know what you were talking about?
They turn into anger. And we don't need you to teach us.
Okay, I got you. So what are you going to talk about when you talk to this group tonight? What are you going to tell them about feminism and LGBTQ rights in China?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about the Me Too movement in China. So sometimes, this has happened in 2017 in the U.S. The first case is happened. It's a celebrity. So in China, we follow the different routes. And also the survivors, they are until now they are trying to get legal procedures, or they are trying to push the issue forward. And during that time when the things happened, I was studying in the UK, so I just read a dissertation about that. I'm not directly involved in that movement. And afterwards, I graduated. I returned back to China and thinking, when there's something happen, I need to be in the place.
Okay.
And also, this is another. I think in Louisville, I walk on the street at night, and there's a lot of poems. There, one is like gay or straight. It seems like it doesn't matter. So I think in Kentucky is a very conservative state, but in Louisville, the city is very diverse. Yeah.
Yeah, Louisville's a lot different. The city of Louisville's a lot different than the rest of Kentucky. That is a fair assessment. That's a good assessment by you, by the way. That is fair to say. So, again, though, what will you tell folks about China? You're talking about the rise of feminism and LGBTQ rights. So what will you tell folks? Is there, are people getting better in China? Are the authorities getting better about...
Yeah. For example, we started to have our first generation of gay babies.
First generation of gay babies?
Yes, they're just maybe 3 years old, 4 years old,
so
6 years old.
So gay couples can adopt babies or have in vitro babies?
They give birth.
Okay.
Yeah, they use some ways, like donate sperms
right, in vitro or donate.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Okay, so that's allowed by the government in China?
It's like a gray space. So people started to have their babies, and we start to build our community with, babies, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we can testify whether the baby's sexual orientation, or we can have a lot of research about that. And before, we don't have any babies. We cannot tell the straight people or the lawmakers about those. So it's going to be good phenomenon.
Okay. What is the one thing you'd like people in America to know about LGBTQ rights in China and overall? What is the essence of, if you're LGBTQ in China, what would you tell folks in the United States about that? What are you persecuted? Are you left alone? Do people understand? What you tell me?
Okay, unlike in a lot of Middle East or Africa countries, the being gay is illegal. In China, it's like not illegal but not legalized. Like
well, it's not technically legalized in the United States either. I mean,
you can be yourself.
Right.
People will leave you alone. There's not severe hate crime toward it because most of the people, the majorities in China, they belongs to the majority ethnic group Han, so they don't have a religion belief, which is quite different. And also they won't attack you on the street. But for example, if my baby is a gay, that's not possible. So if others' families like daughter is a lesbian, it's okay. It's none of my business. So that is very Chinese culture.
Well, Li, we really appreciate you coming to Louisville, Kentucky, and talking with all of us about what's going on in China in regards to feminism and LGBTQ rights. And glad you're here. Hope you enjoy your stay.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks for being on the show. All right. That'll about do it for this edition of UofL Today with Mark Hebert, which you can hear every Monday night at 7 and Sunday morning at 8 on Cards Radio 790 WKRD. You can also listen to the podcast on SoundCloud or watch the programs on Metro TV or KETKY throughout the week. Check out all the UofL news, videos, and events at UofLnews.com. Thanks for listening to UofL Today with Mark Hebert, and go Cards.